Welcome to the teachings of Ashanti. If you are new to this material, you can find more information about this material by clicking the links below the description to my Facebook group and to my blog spot. If you want to receive notifications to future videos, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. Thank you. Node Number 58. The words of Ashanti. Any kind of walk can become a walk in wakefulness. Any reader acting as a transmitting transceiver, taking a group of unconscious or sleeping people for a walk, can be the catalyst to their awakening. The reader does not teach people about awakening. He walks around in a state of an active transceiver connected to the universal node. It leads him to do whatever he needs to do. His heart, connected to the universal node, knows what to do in a perfect way. The group observes and listens without questions or talking. The reader himself is now the transceiver. The people in the group might not fully know what is happening inside them, but they will slowly become awake on an unconscious level. As long as the reader keeps on transmitting as a transceiver, amazing things can happen. Only when they get back from the walk do they start to question or share what they have experienced during the walk. Most of the work will be done subconsciously by the reader acting as a transceiver. Artworks. How does an artwork act as a transceiver? The artwork gets activated as a transceiver. This activated transceiver then connects the viewer to the universal node. It serves as a gateway between the viewer and the viewer's awakening. The artwork gets created from a state of wakefulness by the artist. The artist acts as a transceiver himself during the creation process, with no interference by the mind and its mind fields. The resulting artwork itself becomes an active transceiver in the process. The artwork has a material form, but it also has an added dimension of activated nodes transmitting a heart field. This transmitting heart field will then act on the viewer on a metaphysical level, which can then lead to an awakening. The unconscious viewer might experience a feeling of deep emotion looking at the artwork. He or she cannot explain this emotion with words. His or her mind cannot understand it. He and she only knows it's there. In that moment, the artwork acts as a transmitting transceiver to them. An awakened person. Any action that is done in a state of connection with the universal node becomes an activated transceiver. This can lead to an awakening within the person watching the other person doing the task, whether the person is doing dishes, cutting the grass, or whatever. The person becomes a transmitting transceiver to the viewer. You, the person doing the action, allow yourself to be guided by the universal node. You become one with it, using the heart as a node to connect to it. Whatever task you are doing then becomes full of grace and beauty. The unconscious viewer observing the task that you are doing can subconsciously be awakened. The person observing can become aware and experience an awakening within themselves. Again, this awakening cannot be described fully with language. It can only be known or felt. The moment you try to analyze this knowing, you fall back into the trap of the mind and its mind fields. The mind will deny this knowing and label it as a fantasy or something mystical. What the mind does not know is this fantasy is the real reality behind the thing. End of message. Thank you for listening. I will speak to you again real soon.